Hi folks, Steve Kaposi here at the Adventuring and Camping School in Northeast Thailand. I want to talk to you about my concept of a smaller working knife, SWK. In a previous video I called it a smaller hand knife. I've just changed the name to smaller working knife just to be consistent with my main working knife, which I've already talked about in previous videos. The main working knife was the new Bushcraft knife that I'm promoting. A minimum 6-inch blade for your main working knife, plus those 10 features which I talked about. That happens to be the 8-inch version, and I just posted a quick video where I picked up finally the 7-inch version of that main working knife. So 6 inches minimum, you can have 7, 8 inches maximum, but as I said, I believe 8 inches is becoming a bit long even for your main working knife. But the smaller working knife is a knife you have for smaller jobs. You're not doing big jobs, you're not cutting wood, chopping wood, betoning wood. It's for smaller tasks, perhaps fine carving, whittling tasks, work around camp, cutting cordage, cutting meat, skinning, cooking, even stirring pots and stuff like that. So it's a smaller working knife, and there are 7 main features for a smaller working knife that I look for. Plus 2 issues, and those plus 2 issues were the type of steel. You can have high carbon steel or stainless steel, and the grind. There are different grinds for different jobs. I've got a video also where I talk about grinds, knife grinds, the main ones to look for. So that's why the type of steel and the grind do not form part of my main features I look for, because there's no one right answer. You can have high carbon steel or stainless steel and different grinds. So for the main Bushcraft knife, as I said, there was 10 features plus the 2 issues, the steel and the grind. This happens to be a Mueller knife from Spain. I'm not advocating this knife, it just happens to be my knife that I have. I bought this about 10-15 years ago in Sydney, Australia. It's stainless steel, which is what I prefer. I'm just using this knife as an example to show you the features. So the 7 features I look for in a smaller working knife, the top 4 features your knife must have. Number 1, a minimum 4.5-inch blade. That's long enough for a smaller working knife, not too short, not too long. 4.5-inch blade. Number 2, it's 3 over 32 inches thick, or about 0.1 of an inch, or about 2.4 millimeters. That's plenty thick enough for a smaller working knife. It's only a short blade, so it doesn't have to be very thick. That's plenty thick enough, 3 over 32 inches thick. Number 3, you've at least got what you might call a half tang or a partial tang coming up the handle. This one has 2 bolts. It's one piece of steel coming right up to the second bolt. That gives more strength than just having a blade attached to a handle. So it's a partial tang. Some people call it a rat tail tang coming up the handle, which gives more strength. It's not full tang, it's only a smaller hand knife. It doesn't have to be full tang. Number 4, you have to have a sharp 90-degree angle to shed sparks from a ferrocerium rod. And you can see the sparks there. I don't necessarily advocate shedding sparks using your knife, but it's an option, it's an emergency. You should have 3, 4, 5, even 6 ways to shed sparks from a ferrocerium rod in your kit. Practice with different knives, multi-tools, strikers and so forth to get better at shedding bigger sparks. The next 2 features your knife should have. Not necessarily must have, but should have. So number 5, serrations on the top or somewhere on the knife. I believe in serrations. It just gives you another cutting option. It's good for cutting cordage and so forth. Obviously the knife is too small to have a heavy duty saw like your main working knife, but you've got the serrations as another cutting option. Number 6, a nice sharp point. That's not as sharp as the clip point on my main working knife. It comes out flatter on the top, so there's more steel. It's not as curved. It's a bit stronger than that clip point, but it's still pretty much sort of a clip point, but it's still a very sharp point. It's sharper than a traditional drop point or spear point, and I just believe in having a sharp point to drill holes. I've already got videos online where I drill a hole in a bamboo container to make charcloth. So there's one proven survival use for a sharp point to drill holes, already demonstrated with videos online. And the 7th feature your knife can have. This knife doesn't even have it. Some sort of attached cordage for security. This knife doesn't have it, but I've seen a lot of good modern knives with some sort of attached cordage. You can attach it to your pack, your belt, even around your wrist, your hand, you'll never lose it. I think this smaller working knife might be too small for a grommet hole, but if you can find a smaller working knife with a grommet hole or some sort of a grommet hole attached on the end, that's fine. This doesn't have it, but at least attached cordage, or if you can find a grommet hole, that's what you want. This knife doesn't even have that, but the seventh feature, your knife can have attached cordage for added security. A couple of other points. There's no need to have a bulge at the front like your main working knife. I believe in that bulge, a parang style, machete style bulge, like your main working knife. It gets weight forward for chopping actions, but your smaller working knife doesn't need the bulge. You need to have the knife to be flat all the way on top. You're not batoning with the knife. This has got a hand guard, which is good, especially for a small knife. It's good to have a guard for the hand, but it doesn't have to be flat all the way on top. And of course, just to repeat, this is stainless steel. You can have high carbon steel or stainless steel. I've talked about those differences before. And the grinds, this happens to be a standard Scandi grind, but if you have a smaller working knife with a hollow grind, very sharp, that's fine. You can have a third knife if you want with a hollow grind. But at the minimum, a Scandi grind, you don't want anything else like convex grinds and so forth for a smaller hand knife. You have to have it sharp for those small tasks. A Scandi grind you can get very sharp. Okay, that was just a quick discussion on my smaller working knife. I hope you found that interesting and useful. Thanks for watching, keep up the good work, and I'll see you next time.